Joining us now from Des Moines, Iowa, Governor Mitt Romney. Governor, I'm thinking with the margin of victory that if just a few of your supporters had decided to eat some chicken wings and watch some college basketball last night, we'd be talking about a second-place finish for you. A little too close to comfort on the narrow margin of victory?
Pretty narrow, I must admit. I really think that Iowa is a big boost for Rick Santorum, for Ron Paul, for myself. We all end up in a stronger position this morning, and I think we're all pretty happy.
I'm wondering, just one number by way of comparison, 6 years you've spent out in Iowa, and I think you end up with 66 more votes this time than in 2008. Can you explain this challenge you had in Iowa about getting more traction this go-round?
Oh, I'm pleased. We have a 7-person field this time and 3 people in a virtual dead heat. So mathematically, it's hard to get a higher percent, but I'm pleased that we were able to have a good, strong showing here. And actually, a few weeks ago, I was well behind in the polls here. So to come up with a strong finish is something that obviously is very encouraging. We got New Hampshire next, and on to, after that, to South Carolina and Florida. It's going to be a long road.
Governor Romney, your runner-up, Rick Santorum, wasted no time sending a letter to his supporters, calling you a, quote, bland, boring career politician. And here's what is awaiting you when you get to New Hampshire. A full-page ad in the Manchester Union Leader from Newt Gingrich comparing the two of you, saying the choice is between a bold Reagan conservative and you. Is this payback for the $3 million worth of negative ads the outside groups affiliated with you ran in Iowa?
You know, I've got broad shoulders. I know that when you get in a campaign, there's a big target on you. It's obviously it's a small target compared to what's going to come from the Democratic National Committee and Barack Obama. They've already begun attacking me. I'm not too worried about that. Let the attacks come. I think the American people are going to focus on whether or not I've got the skills to lead the country and to create jobs again. And I'm proud of the record that I have, and I'm happy to defend my record and to contrast it with the other people that are coming after me, particularly President Obama.
So let's talk about your record a little bit, because yesterday, so much of the back and forth had to do with Newt Gingrich calling you a liar, but that sort of obscured what was a legitimate question embedded in what he was talking about. I just want to read to you something he said, and let's separate the name calling for a second. Talking about you, he said, here is a Massachusetts moderate who has tax-paid abortions in Romney Care, puts Planned Parenthood in Romney Care, raised hundreds of millions in taxes on businesses, appoints liberal judges to appease Democrats, and wants the rest of us to believe somehow he's a conservative. Setting aside the name calling, can you respond specifically to what he was raising by way of legitimate questions?
Well, he's got his facts wrong, and I'm sure we'll get a chance during the debates to talk about those things. But, you know, I understand people are going to rattle off a list of supposed sins, and then you get a chance to go through them one by one. I think the people in New Hampshire in particular know pretty darn well what I faced when I was governor of Massachusetts, and they understand that I balanced the budget every one of my 4 years. We cut taxes 19 different times. Put in place a rainy day fund of over $2 billion. We helped our schools stay at #1 in the nation, implemented a program of English immersion in our schools, got our state police to enforce immigration laws. I'm pretty proud of a conservative record, but you know, we'll get a chance to talk about that in the months ahead.
Which of his facts specifically were wrong?
Well, for instance, our health care bill doesn't mention Planned Parenthood in any way. In fact, it doesn't even mention abortion. The decision with regards to abortion funding was a decision by the court, not by the legislature, and certainly not by me as the governor. So, you know, we'll get a chance to talk about those things, I'm sure, as we proceed during the debates.
All right, so let's look ahead for a second.
That's right, because you're leading by 30 points here in New Hampshire. Very friendly territory for you. In fact, so friendly that you're thinking of going to South Carolina for a few days to campaign there instead. In South Carolina, though, it's a rockier road. You came in 4th there 4 years ago, struggling with Christian conservatives. What do you think is going to be different this time around? Because all of your opponents are going to be trying to stop your momentum in South Carolina.
Well, I'm really pleased that we get momentum that starts here and then in New Hampshire. I hope I'm able to do well in New Hampshire, and I'm going to keep on talking about my record as a conservative governor and my vision to get the economy going again. Of the people in the race, I'm the only person who spent over 25 years of their life in the private sector, competing with businesses around the world. I understand how jobs come and how they go. And if we want to have a nominee who can post up against Barack Obama with a record of job creation and a record of having worked in the private sector, I think I start off with the strongest resume for that purpose.
Right, but Nancy's question is about South Carolina, and it points up what has been historically a little bit of a difficult situation for you, especially with conservative Christian evangelicals. You're going to have to make it right with them in the South. South Carolina is the first real test for that. What do you anticipate?
Well, I'm pleased that as I look at the record of South Carolina, that they've selected people of differing backgrounds. I don't think people choose a candidate based upon his or her religion primarily. I'm sure there'll be some who will find that a major issue, but I expect to get good support in South Carolina and recognize, of course, I'd like to win South Carolina. I'd like to win all the states, but I know that this is going to be a long road. I hope to get delegates in these early states and amass the number I need to get the 1,150 total. But I think at this stage, having, for instance, relative to the other guys in this race, I've organized a national campaign team. We have funding that we've drawn from different states. I've got the capacity, I think, to take this campaign all the way to Tampa, and that's something which I think other folks in this race are going to find a little more difficult to do.
Well, Governor Romney, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Congratulations again on your victory. Definitely one for the record books, and we look forward to seeing you here in New Hampshire.
Thanks, Nancy. And Jim, good to be with you.